They say revenge is best served cold, but when HOA Karen started stealing my firewood, I made sure it burned back hotter than she could ever imagine. Maple Ridge was supposed to be peaceful, a quiet American neighborhood with trimmed lawns, silent nights, and the soft crackle of fireplaces in winter. For me, that sound meant comfort. For Karen, it meant opportunity. She was the kind of woman who believed the HOA rules existed for everyone but her. Clipboard in one hand, judgment in the other, she roamed the street like a self-appointed queen of suburban law. It started small, a missing log or two from my firewood pile outside the shed. I thought maybe I miscounted or the wind rolled them away. But soon, the pile began shrinking night after night. I'd wake up to boot prints on the snow, faint perfume in the air, and a few wood chips scattered like clues from a thief too arrogant to hide. I told myself, it can't be her. But then I remembered the smirk, the same smirk she gave when she fined the Johnsons for having a non-approved mailbox color. The same smirk when she said, "You're stacking wood too close to the fence, it's a safety violation." Safety violation. Yeah, right. That night I decided to find out. I set up a small camera near the back fence, hidden behind a pile of leaves. The next morning I checked the footage. There she was. Karen, in her pink robe and fuzzy slippers, sneaking through my yard with a flashlight. She looked around like a cat burglar in a suburban movie, picked up my logs and shoved them into the trunk of her SUV. She didn't even hurry. She waved to the camera light like she was on her own reality show. I sat there staring at the screen, a mix of disbelief and anger crawling under my skin. That was my wood. I called the HOA office the next day, hoping they'd take it seriously. They laughed. "Sir, maybe she thought it was community property." Community property? Since when did stealing from your neighbor count as sharing? I went to the police, but they just shrugged. "It's just firewood, sir. Not worth filing a report. Not worth it." Those words burned hotter than any flame I'd ever lit. That's when I decided if they won't stop her, I will. But I wouldn't yell or fight or get fined for public disturbance. No. I'd teach her the lesson she'd never forget, the HOA-approved way. I went to my shed, found a few old hollow logs I used for decoration, and got creative. I filled the inside with a harmless but loud compound, something that, when heated, would pop and smoke like a cannon but cause no real damage. Enough to scare, not to harm. I sealed them back up, stacked them perfectly on the pile, and waited. For days, nothing happened. Then one night, just as snow started falling again, I saw headlights by the fence. Through the window, I watched her silhouette move toward the pile. She grabbed the exact logs I had prepared. My heart raced, not with guilt, but satisfaction. The next morning, the neighborhood exploded with rumors. People said they heard a massive boom from Karen's house. I checked my doorbell cam, flames reflected in the night sky, and her scream echoed down the block. Later, I saw it myself. Her face blackened with soot, hair standing like she'd wrestled with lightning, holding a half-burned log as smoke poured from her chimney. That image burned into my mind, the queen of HOA chaos standing in her own backyard, covered in the ashes of her greed. But it wasn't over yet. I knew Karen. She wasn't the type to take a fall quietly. She'd come for revenge, or worse, she'd call a meeting. And when she did, I'd be ready. The moment the hollow logs went off, the entire neighborhood froze like a movie in slow motion. Smoke poured into the evening air, a thick, gray cloud rising behind Karen's house as she stumbled backward, clutching her phone and screaming something about terrorism. Within minutes, the sirens came. Police, fire trucks, and the county sheriff himself. Everyone thought it was an accident, maybe a gas leak, until the sheriff looked down at the pile of half-burned logs and saw the clean circular cuts. "These were hollowed out intentionally," he said, narrowing his eyes. That's when Karen, trembling and covered in ash, pointed straight at my house and yelled, "He did it! He tried to blow me up!" I calmly walked out onto my porch, wiping my hands on my flannel, as if I'd just finished a quiet evening by the fire. "Blow you up?" I said. "Karen, you've been stealing my firewood for weeks." "Those logs weren't for you," the crowd murmured. A dozen neighbors stepping forward, people who'd seen her sneaking around, who'd heard her boasting about collecting wood for her HOA-approved fire pit. The sheriff turned to her, unimpressed. "Ma'am," he said, "did you take property from this man's yard?" Karen froze, her mouth working but no sound coming out. I could see the gears turning. She wanted to deny it, but too many eyes were watching. "I thought it was community property," she finally blurted, and someone in the crowd laughed. "Community property?" the sheriff echoed. "You mean his private stack behind his fence?" Karen's face went redder than the fire that had just exploded. When the police finished inspecting, they realized there was no real gunpowder, just smoke powder, harmless but loud. A prank, legal, clever, and devastatingly humiliating. The sheriff turned back to me, half smiling. "You knew she'd steal it again, didn't you?" I shrugged. "Just wanted to give her something to remember." Karen was cited for trespassing, theft, and violating HOA boundaries. The next HOA meeting was legendary. Half the members couldn't stop laughing while she tried to explain how she'd accidentally taken the wrong firewood. From that day forward, she never came near my property again. Her fence went up higher, her curtains stayed closed, and her fake friendliness disappeared. But every time someone in the neighborhood lights a bonfire, they glance her way and smirk, waiting for another boom. The video from a neighbor's doorbell camera went viral, titled, "When HOA Karen Meets Country Justice." Millions of views, thousands of comments, and even a few offers from local news reporters. My favorite comment? She stole the wrong man's wood. The best part? I didn't even have to say a word. Karma did the talking. That small explosion didn't just clear the air, it cleared my name, restored the peace, and reminded everyone that not all homeowners are pushovers. Some of us fight HOA tyranny with a little creativity and a lot of patience. And sometimes, poetic justice comes wrapped in a hollow log.